What's up, sis?
What up?
Happy 30th.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, happy 34th a month ago.
Amen.
We survived.
That
We
is-
survived.
Yes, we did. One hell of a trip, one hell of a time. Good time.
But yet the one that we talk about is almost hitting a deer.
You held it together.
Right, yeah.
That's a long story, but it's a good story.
Oh, well. Anyways.
Safe to say we had more adrenaline off that when we did skydiving, so we did good.
Yeah, what's up with that?
That's the best thing. Nothing being like woke up to the car almost flipping.
Yeah, and hanging on to my hair.
Sorry about that, by the way.
It's all
Not
good.
intentional.
No, it was a good intention to hold me back in case we wrecked, but appreciate that. My goodness. What a week.
A good 30th.
It was a good 30th. I appreciate that.
Anytime. But as far as now, if you know Sarah, you know she's done all my digital artwork for any of my photos, my album covers, all that, and she's also works for Glue Mobile doing amazing things with them with gaming and designing. But I'll let her get to that. But the thing that inspired you to do this the most was watching Disney growing up.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, thanks to our grandparents, starting us at a very young age watching Disney movies. It just, I don't know, like I just kind of fell in love with them and get you out of reality because, reality kind of sucks sometimes. So cartoons just bring me into a whole other world, and and I know it does that for other people. So, and then when 3D came out, like Toy Story, like when I saw Toy Story, I'm like, well, this is different, I kind of like that. It's 3D, but then the movie that really just I watched every single day with my VHS tape, played it every day after school, twice a day for like a 2 month straight was Monsters Inc. And I just kept playing it and playing it, and I think that's just what kind of sunk in my head was that Pixar movie. And I didn't really understand how to go about making those movies because, growing up in a small town, we weren't privileged enough to have that kind of software. So, so I didn't know how that was made or anything. I just knew I loved it. I knew how to do computers. So I'm like, all right, I will try computer engineering. I don't know. This was before Google was a huge thing to where I could have just Googled it on how to get there. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to try computer engineering. And then I looked into that. I'm like, oh, that requires a lot of math. No, maybe not. And so when I went to Carroll, they had a computer graphic program.
Your college in Montana.
Yeah, in Helena. So I'm like, all right, let me try that. And I took some Photoshop classes with there. And then it was interesting, but not quite what I wanted. And then when I transferred to Lock Haven, I'm like, well, let me try computer science. And that obviously required a lot of math too. And I was trying different art classes with that. And I was just trying to find my way, like finding different classes. And they threw me in these really hard art classes. And I've never taken an art class in my life. So it just kind of, like, I remember drawing, there's a Star Wars scene from A New Hope with Hans and Greedo, and we had to redo that scene, redo the cantina, draw different scenes for it, and I did my best, and I can't draw. I showed it to my professor, and he's like, you should give up. You should not be an artist. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. But, I went and bawled my eyes out for a little while, and when I was living at Grandpa's, a commercial came on for Full Sail University, and it was showing computer animation. It was showing all these computer animated like films and everything. I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted to do. That's what it's called, computer animation. I felt stupid not knowing, but again, growing up in Montana, you don't get the privilege of knowing all that. So I'm like, all right, there it is. That's exactly what I want to do. Transfer down to Full Sail. Here we go. School number 3. I finally figured it out. I get there and they require all these art classes, and I'm like, crap, I can't draw. What do I do? And they reassured me. They're like, it's not all drawing. Like, it's just you got a few drawing classes to go through, you know, and then the rest is computer animation. I'm like, okay, I'll just work my way through, work as hard as I can. And the teachers were amazing. They, like, some of them actually helped me draw some of it because I'm like, I can't draw, but I can do this other stuff. They're like, all right, let's just get you through this class. And one of them actually drew me, like, one of my projects. And he's like, here you go. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's mine. Sure. So then I went on and I started really liking the whole pipeline. It was amazing, like, because you don't realize how much goes into movies, like the whole pipeline. It's like for CG, it's ridiculous.
And what are the levels to that? There's what you do, and there's other steps, and then the voicing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that part again, so everybody knows the
Right,
process.
so the pipeline, how it starts, usually starts storyboarding. So you get an idea and you storyboard it out, you draw it all out, which obviously you can't do. So you got amazing artists that'll just draw out your ideas. And then you go on to modeling it in 3D.
Okay.
You'll model it in 3D, get it as good as possible, and you'll start passing those models on to the shading lighting artist, which is what I majored in, excuse me. And once you get it all lit and everything, get the environment, get the models in, you got it lit and all the materials on it. You go on to animating it as well. Like that process they can do simultaneously. Like, and you also have to rig the characters. So essentially, like if I modeled a human, you have to put a rig inside him, which is like a skeleton. So because you got to make it move, right? So there's a rig inside, and so the animators can move it in different directions. And I mean, it just depends on the kind of movie you're doing too. Right, so if you're doing something that just needs like a background, you just put a green screen and use different software to cut you out, like I do with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's a post process where you can add visual effects, which is what most people will see and everything.
What was the programs you were using for this?
Oh, there's so many different programs.
But you're using Photoshop inside of other things. I don't.
Yeah, you can use Photoshop for different things, but mostly if you're doing visual effects, like Nuke is a big program. I use Max 3D Studio Max, and what else do I use? It just depends. Like for my job, I use Unity, which is a gaming you can use for gaming, mobile gaming. Jeez. What else? Yeah, I mean Illustrator. There's so many different things. It just depends on the company and their pipeline, really, on what you want to use.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, I just fell in love with it. Fell in love with the lighting because you just put a light in there and all of a sudden the objects come to life. So essentially, like, it's your, like, I don't know, you get to bring things to life, get to put materials on it to make it look realistic. And I just love that feeling, like, just making it realistic. And when it's really just 3D. It's awesome. It's a good feeling. So, I mean, eventually.
And part of that comes from the editing, too. Out in their end.
Yeah. I mean, there's editing towards the end, but initially, like the majority of the raw files, they should look realistic already. It's just if you want to add like a little jazz to it, if you will, you bring in Photoshop and add more things to it to make it pop more, if you will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and after Full Sail, that's the struggle part, right? After you graduate, finding a job.
Yes.
So.
There's a couple parts of the story because you continue to go to school for coding, and then you were working
that's way down the line.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell me again because this is.
So I graduated in 2012.
Yeah.
With bachelor's with computer animation, and then I had different interviews for different jobs, and they weren't catching on because what my degree is pretty flooded. There's a lot of us. But you have to just get that portfolio, make you stick out, or know people. Like networking is just the ideal thing for the industry. So it took me a while to hit a job. So of course, you moved me back up here, and then got that job at Geek Squad, and I kept working on it, trying to find a job, and finally hit an internship down at Embraer, and got to work on designing planes. I mean, that didn't really have a lot to do with my degree. That was more Illustrator, which is more like a graphic artist. But it was a step in the right direction. So, and then the internship ended, moved back to Montana, and worked several jobs there that had nothing to do with my degree. And then finally, I like got my big break in Tampa, doing architecture that, just helped building homes in 3D to show the customer what their house could look like, and doing interior design for them. And that was the biggest thing that helped me. I spent almost 4 years there doing that, and that's when I went back to school for coding, and because Wells Fargo was on my case about my student loans, and so didn't know what to do. So what better way to defer your loans than to go back to school?
Yeah.
So went back to school so that way I didn't have to pay my loans. That's what it ended up being. So yeah, went back to school for 2 years, got another bachelor's in web design development just so I didn't have to pay my student loans at the time, because I did not know what to do, because they were ridiculous. They wanted like $2,200 a month for my student loans.
Wow.
Yeah, who can afford that?
Even on your salary, what you make even now after going through how many jobs,
No
it's
one
still,
could.
it's
Yeah.
nuts. It truly is, but
Yeah.
I'll let you handle that part because you know that far better. than
Well,
I do.
I don't. That's just a sad part. So, yeah. Then I graduated in 2016 with my second degree, and for my final, I worked on your website. Then you need to get back up and running. What else? And then
You did coding after that, though. You were doing a little bit here and there,
It
right?
was mainly on your website. That was pretty much it, honestly. I didn't.
After that, I thought you told me you were doing.
I
Dino and
interviewed.
all them. I Dino, but but I thought you said you were working with coding on him and learning different things, trying different things.
I mean, I tried. It just really doesn't interest me. Like, I mean, growing up with Disney, I know what my passion is. Like, you love music. Like, that's your passion.
Yeah.
And computer animation is my full-on passion. Coding, it was there to help me get through that tough time. It's not my thing.
It's not something you can sit around and do all day.
Exactly. I respect people hardcore. Like, I have a good understanding of it, but it's not something I just want to sit there and, make code all day. I'm a visual person. I like seeing things come to life, and coding isn't very visual. It's just, it's just code. So, yeah, I really just worked on your website. I mean, I did get interviewed for a web development job, and that I could have taken, but then I got interviewed in California for what I'm at now. And so I had the choice of web development or computer animation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And you
I
made
think
the
it was-
better choice.
Yes, I believe so. I didn't want to live in Jacksonville anyways. Florida. Yeah, for the coding, no thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And with that, you got to remind me what all you did in that job too, because I don't remember a lot of it.
Which job?
The one in Florida.
Florida?
Yeah.
It
That
was
was
just...
because it was with airplanes, if I remember correctly. You were doing.
So that was in Brer. That was my internship.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. I forgot about that. Then you moved to the next. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in Florida 3 times, so...
Yeah.
7 years of my life. Ugh.
It was an experience.
No, it was definitely an experience, but
You got all 3 coasts, or sorry,
I just didn't go very
both
south.
coasts very well. Yeah.
Yeah, I got Orlando in the center, Tampa on the Gulf, and then Melbourne on the Atlantic. So yeah, I got to experience it all.
Yeah.
Besides Miami, but Miami's a whole other ball game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the one in Melbourne, that was in Brer. That was just working with people who could afford their own like airplane. Like they'll come in, they're like, oh, I have $1 million I'd like to spend on an airplane. I'm like, okay, let's go in this room and design it for you. Mm-hmm. And it was a great experience. The people were always so sweet. I would come up with different designs. They're like, oh yeah, that looks great. I'm like, really? All right, cool. Well, let's do that then.
Yeah.
But I mean, it unfortunately only lasted, I think, like 7 to 9 months. I can't remember honestly anymore. That was a long time ago. But yeah, and then the job in Tampa, it originally started off me being a 3D artist to do things for Kohler. Kohler, like the sinks and everything. And then, what's the other one? There's like different things like Whirlpool and everything to do ads for them. And my one friend, she needed help with interior design on the team, and I'm like, well, we're slow. I'll see if I can do interior design. She started teaching me different things, and I'm like, ooh, I kind of like this. Mm-hmm. And so she pulled me onto her team, and I became an interior designer for the company and did that for like 3 years. And what it was is like there's places like Lennar, K-Hov, like just places that build cookie cutter houses.
Yeah.
And so we would build them up in 3D and then design them, interior, like do interior design inside the house. So that way, with that, before they even actually built the house. So that way the customer can see, oh, I like how that looks. Yes, I'll take this house. So, and then when one of the talent partners at the company I work for now, she saw my resume and she saw my portfolio and what I do, and it's almost exactly like what the game that I work on now. Because it's design home, so it's an interior design game, and therefore, you know, they went together. She's like, it's perfect. What you do now is what we do in the game, except it's a game and not, you know, reality. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. You know, it was, and then they flew me out. Interview went great, and yeah, there I am, working on that.
Your ultimate next step is Pixar, correct? That is the ultimate.
That's
the
my
goal
ultimate
you
goal.
want.
Yep, that's my goal is Pixar and or Disney. I mean, Pixar is my top choice. Like I'm not ready for it yet. I do not have the talent for it just yet. Like the people there are amazing. I got to become friends with some of them on LinkedIn at least. So I'm wiggling my way slowly, but there's a lot of practice that needs to happen, a lot of skills that go into it, and a lot of time and effort, and you know, it's just like being self-disciplined to be able to work on your skills. And luckily with my job, you know, I try to learn something every day on like during work, so that way it enhances my skills.
Right.
And then with you like needing stuff, it helps my skills as well, so I appreciate that. Hey sis, I got a challenge for you. I'm like, all right, here we go. This will help my skills. This will help my portfolio. Here we go. So but yeah, that's my ultimate goal is Pixar and
But like you see, you have to build to get to that point.
I mean, some people are just completely talented and can get right in there, but fortunately, that's not me. I have to build. I have to really, really work at it. I don't got that natural talent like some people, so
yeah.
which is fine.
And then the open door that you see, you'll go through and go into them, whatever it may be.
I mean, where I'm at now is the best step that I could be because I'm only like 30 minutes from Emeryville, which is where they're located. So I'm right there. But it'd be better if I was in the film industry. Right now I'm in the gaming industry. So it's a step in the right direction, you know. I'll get there.
But it's like you said, it's a learning curve. You've built to that point. You just didn't jump from A to Z. You're going A, B, C, D all the way up till you get there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no way to know it right off the bat because technology changes every day, like you know. And same with like software. There's always different software, and they're always doing updates. And like right now, I'm in Max 2019. They already had 2021 out. I'm already behind. So it's just trying to keep up with it and trying to make the best art that you can because it's tough out there and there's a lot of us. And
and I know one thing about you enjoy the challenge of it too, because you like things that are going to keep your mind, you know, building and growing, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, right now, there's a little. I'm at the point with my job now to where I'm comfortable, where I can get it all done, and you know, But now that I'm getting faster with it, I can start learning different ways to do my job, and since I'm more comfortable with it, it's like, okay, I'm lining it this way, but what if I did it this way? Oh, hey, that worked. Or, oh, nope, that didn't work. And I'll try different things now that I'm faster with my work and to just get my skills up because those programs are huge. There's so much you can do with them and so many buttons and so many tutorials. So
now with this, when you get to this level, there's certain areas of this again that are on. There's, as you were saying about where you get to be, you're going to be in a certain area of that you want to get the digital arts. You're going to a section of this in Pixar. That's the ultimate goal.
Like I said, shading lighting is my major, and so that's like even look development. I just want to bring things to life. Like someone could model out this couch in 3D. I want to put this material and I want to put this color on it, and then I want to put these lights directed on it to just bring it to life. Like I love that, and it's tedious. I'm weird. I love tedious work. I love just it's like, okay, no, 0.4, nope, 0.4 didn't work, 0.5, and I'll just keep going until I get that exact number until it looks exactly how I want.
Is you're into the detail of the image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a lot of people don't like the tediousness of it. Like, a lot of people love modeling because you can just slap together and make it look awesome. But me, I'm just like, I'm a perfectionist. And so with lighting, you can get down to double digits with the numbers and just like keep pinpointing numbers. Like, people at work know that I love exact numbers for certain things and, you know, make fun of me a little bit, but I don't care. I love putting exact numbers for things, and lighting does that, and it calms me with the tediousness. So,
Yeah. But that's your path. You knew
It
it
is.
is. So.
yep.
And you enjoy it. If at least you enjoy the process of being there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love that part of it as well.
Oh, I know. It's a very blessed feeling, like knowing what your passion is. You know, like you know that you love your music, and it's a good feeling when you play. And I know I love like doing shading and lighting. It's a good feeling when I get to that point in my job. I'm like, oh, I'm bringing it to life. It looks so pretty, and it's just calming. And I don't know. It's a nice feeling knowing that you got to that point, you know, in your life. It took me how long? How old am I? 30, right? Yeah. So and now I've been out of school for 8 years now. So it took a good 6 years to get where I'm at.
Yeah.
And that's a long time.
Yeah. And yet it's, like I said, you've went through the journey up to that, and you've worked your ass off, and you'll appreciate the end result when you get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the best part about it.
Yeah. It's a long road. Still got a lot to do too.
Yeah. But it's what keeps, everybody has to have an end goal. If you don't, it's kind of, life
Yeah.
is a little pointless.
Yeah.
But you always need something that's going to stimulate the mind and keep you moving forward.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Crazy art form. But
It's
beautiful
fun
thing.
teaching you though, like when I get to show you.
Oh,
Like, even
yeah.
if it's just Photoshop, I love teaching you that because you get so into it. I'm like, this is fun. He's learning. So you can see my
I don't
process.
use it for 12 weeks and I call you back. Sorry, sis. What did I do wrong here? Figure it out, idiot.
No. When have I ever said that?
You haven't.
I mean, if you want me to, I will. I'll just hang up on you and be like, all right, learn yourself.
You just tell me to use Google and leave me alone.
Yeah, let me Google that for you, bud.
But yeah, it's an amazing art. Like I said, I never completely understood, but it's something that I'm not into it like you are, but there's many out there that are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, and you don't need school for it. That's the crazy thing. But
You said about that, like, how many people do you work with that did not go to school at all?
Well, for for artists though, we all went to school, but for software like coding, you don't need to go to school. You really don't need to go to school for anything besides medical if you want to get technical. You just have to have a good portfolio and to prove that you're good.
And you're saying as probably a natural talent for most, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just has to do with self-discipline and motivation. Like, say for instance, graduate high school, I know exactly, especially now, if we would have had Google back then, like we do now, like we understood how to use it, I probably never would have went to school because there's so many tutorials on how to do what I do. I could have just easily learned through YouTube for free, and it just would have taken me a little bit longer to understand, but it would have been free, and I wouldn't have been dealing with Wells Fargo. So, but yeah, and with coding, there's so many websites that'll help you code for free and teach you like step by step on how to code for free. It's crazy. You don't really need college anymore unless you want to do something medical, which I would prefer that they have schooling for
and
that.
you're right on it. It's about the only area that you really truly have to. You have to have that. I honestly can't think of it. Me, I'm in the other industries of.
Well, I guess for yours, you would some type of trade school would be good, like with heavy equipment.
Exactly what you said. If you were to start up from the ground level doing this or that, and you could build yourself up to it, it's just a matter of being willing to learn and work your ass off. Essentially, what it boils down to the people you work with in any industry. If you meet the right people and they're willing to teach you and you're willing to do the work for them, it's like, hey man, you've had enough. Let me sit down and tell me how to do this. And You know, you can do that too. I'm sure you've done it. You've worked with the old heads or the people who are more experienced, whether they're years
And that's
younger or
exactly
older.
how I got where I'm at, is because the interior designers brought me onto their team and they taught me everything they knew. I didn't have an interior design degree. They did. So I had the computer animation degree, so I got to help them in that aspect with like computers, and they helped me with interior design because that's a whole other ball game.
Right.
Like that's a whole other degree that they had. So they taught me so much in those 3 years with just interior design that I got to bring forth to my job now, and it's just like because of that I got the job now. It's crazy how it all worked out. So, but yeah, school though, yeah, you really don't need it. It's for someone like me, it was good because it kept me going, kept me self-disciplined, and kept me motivated. So
Good point too. Yeah, because you knew the end result, you knew what bills were coming, and you knew what you had to learn to keep going. Plus, you're working day jobs. If I remember right,
not Full Sail. you can never do it.
Oh,
with
that's
Full
right.
Sail.
Yeah, Full Sail. You could. Yeah,
'cause that's a.
I'm sure a lot of them out there are going to say the same thing.
Yeah,
too.
it's a 365-day school, and we had our classes changed every month. So I had 5 a.m. classes, I had 10 p.m. I had classes throughout the day for 2 years straight. Like there's no breaks. You got like a summer break, which was like a week. You got a Christmas break, which was like a week, and then that's it. So there's no stopping. They recommended to not have a job because that was your job. You did probably 60 to 80 hours a week with that school.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, but it's worth it. I had amazing teachers. They used to be Disney animators. So.
And there were different hours of the day too, because I remember you sometimes I call you, it'd be through the night, and then it'd be like next day you'd have some couple hours off here. And
yeah, it just depended on. We had 2 classes a month, and they switched every month. And those 2 classes, you had 2 times a day. You had a lab and an actual class. So, really, in a way, 4 classes going on a week, every day. And yeah, the schedule changed all the time. You had to be lenient, like you had to have a good schedule, flexible schedule for that school.
yeah.
And I just dedicated all my time to that school. There's, nothing else. So.
But they definitely, you learned a lot there. I
Oh,
remember
absolutely. Yeah, I highly recommend that school when it comes to that degree specifically, and especially with campus. Like that was like the best years. Honestly, it was the campus life because I was with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Like it was growing up. I didn't have a lot of people that I could relate to, loving Disney, loving cartoons as much as I did. So going to that school and then finding out that everyone wants to play video games and watch cartoons with me, I'm like, I'm with my people.
Yeah. Like-minded, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes sense.
It's your people. It's great. So it's like if you went to music school and you'd just be surrounded by musicians.
Yeah, and
you would be in
I'm sure
heaven.
that's why I won't speak for everybody, but I've never been there. But the people that I've seen, I was like Berkeley or what's the one in Cali?
Stanford or which
The
one?
one in LA.
CalArts?
Well, I think there's a Berkeley down there. I know Berkeley's up in Mass or whatever it is, but then they have the other major school in LA. But people go to that to just be with like-minded people, and they meet. There's bands that we love have done that. Avenged Sevenfold is definitely one that pops in my head,
Yeah.
and that helped create that. But it's you have your connections too. I mean, that all plays into everything.
Yeah, I mean, the networking part hasn't really helped too much on my end. It worked out with me getting a job, but, I mean, I've helped people get jobs where I work at because they knew me, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I know you are a hard worker. I'll help you get a job, and so I know networking does work, and
Yeah, no matter what level or whatever it may be, just knowing this
Yeah.
person saying, hey, help me with this, I help you with that. You meet
yeah,
people
exactly.
that way too.
As long as you're nice to me and I know you're a good worker, I'll put in a good word for you,
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I know way too many people from moving around. What am I at? Like 23 times I think I moved.
I really don't know this.
It's a lot. So I know way too many people, which I'm not complaining.
No.
You love meeting people, and so do I. It
Yeah.
runs in our blood.
Yeah, especially when you meet the right people. That's the
Yeah,
biggest
exactly.
part of it. You got to meet the right people.
Yeah, and I mean, I know.
And where
a lot
you're
of
at now, you're in a lot of like-minded. You're in a like-minded area with a lot of people who
Yeah,
do
they're-
that. Yeah.
great people where I'm at, and I don't know. I just love the company I'm at right now. You got to meet everyone. They're such sweethearts,
Oh, yeah.
and they'll do anything for you. And Yeah.
You're in the right spot then.
I am.
And the next spot, I'm sure will be the same because you're going to find that those same people.
Exactly.
Guarantee you the next spot.
Yeah. Finally hit where I should be. It's a good feeling.
Exactly. You live in a beautiful state. Unfortunately, we won't go into the other crap that's happening. No, we won't. I promise. We won't go there.
Thank you. I
We're
mean,
not going down that road.
but it's beautiful. Pacifica is great. You know,
Yeah,
you got to see all the mountains and the ocean. It's a great spot to be in.
It is. I went out there. The weather is beautiful. People are nice. You get to see some great scenery. And I mean, it doesn't drop below 10 degrees or 20 degrees or
I was
30
gonna
if
say,
that.
it's about 30 is the lowest I've dealt with.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it's.
The weather keeps everybody coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll get
And
you
then
back
the
again.
scenery. You know, I'll be back there.
Yeah. So,
What do you think, sis? I think you said
I mean,
what you do.
as
And
long as
it's-
you understand them. Do you feel like you understand my life a little better?
I do. I'll take notes. Believe me, if I miss parts, I can ask.
Yeah,
You're not far.
I'm a
The phone
team,
reaches a long way.
team view away.
Amen. All right, sis. Happy 30th.
And happy 34th.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
That's it.
Thank you.